Cavaly over in Haiti won the Caribbean Cup to be able to qualify for the CONCACAF Champions League. Perfect. They did everything they had to do in order to represent their federation, their fans, their country, whatever, to in a match where it was going to be very complicated. First of all, what I find funny is that both legs were going to be at the New England Revolution's own stadium. Now, that kind of takes away the entire point of a home and away series. Now, I understand all the situations that people want to conjure up and all the situations that people want to talk about. Well, because Haiti, Haiti's this and this and that. Haiti, Fine, I understand. But having them drop out of a competition because they weren't able to get a visa to play in the United States? Where was CONCACAF? Where was CONCACAF in all this? I mean, it's a question I legitimately want to ask. Because, let's say, for some reason, the New England Revolution could not go into Mexico, let's say. Or Costa Rica, let's make it more realistic. Well, we don't play that match in Costa Rica. We play it in Mexico. A Mexican or a Costa Rican team wouldn't be able to play in the U.S. Well, let's go play in Panama. Let's go play here. Something would have been done in order to make it happen. But it wasn't. CONCACAF says, well, okay, you're done. It's that type of thing that, and I put myself in a position where I want to, but I kind of don't want to. But you have to criticize what CONCACAF is doing from that perspective. CONCACAF is just really didn't do anything to be able to help one of their teams. And it's funny because going back to, when was it, 2019, 2018, I happened to be at the press conference when they were presenting the CONCACAF Nations League, which I think is a brilliant idea for those teams that were taking part in these competitions, or in that competition where you end up having teams that played once every 4 years, getting a chance to play once or twice, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times at least during an international break or during international breaks. That part is fine. But the whole point of this, and I don't want to digress too much, is that one was asking Victor Montagliani once to say, no, we have to bring football to other countries. Great. It's a great idea. But many were questioning the intent of it because by helping others rise, you kind of see the top of CONCACAF, Mexico and the United States, kind of drop off. Did they drop off? Well, that's still left to be seen. I don't know that. But the whole point of it was to be able to make the game more massive, to have a more competitive confederation from bottom to top, if you understand what I'm saying from that perspective. But then there's been all sorts of misdealings, all sorts of issues when it comes to this competition. Last year there was something. This year, the whole issue with Olympia. This year it's this. So at times you say, well, what is CONCACAF doing to kind of give it a more serious outlook, to give some type of legitimacy to a tournament that, well, many at the end of the day say, well, it's a tournament that the U.S. and Mexico end up dominating, and a Mexican team has won for the past now 16 going on 17 years. So what do you do when you have this type of situation? When a team, it's not the team's fault. Then again, from what we know, it was not approved. Those visas were not approved, so they could not come in. Now, I could talk about other people saying, well, a visa is an opportunity, it's a privilege, and it's not a right. Yeah, but those are the same people that talk about it because they have it. And yet, those same people, if they would have not gotten a visa, they would be saying, well, justice, and we need justice, and this isn't fair, and life isn't fair, and da-da-da-da-da-da. That would have been the talking point at that point. So when you start hearing these people, they don't say much when them and their friends end up getting the visas. But when they don't, they're asking for immigration reform, they're asking for all these types of things. So understand exactly when you hear a lot of radio silence from some people, the reasons why. But keep in mind also that, like I said, it's not the FA's fault. It's really no one's fault. At the end of the day, CONCACAF is organizing a tournament, and they're organizing a tournament in which they don't help their teams be able to play in these competitions. So it ends up being, at the end of the day, CONCACAF's fault for not being able to help out in this whole entire immigration process. Now, are people afraid that these Haitian players are going to defect? Maybe. But I don't think that's the problem. I don't think that is going to be a problem. And, would they like to stay here? Probably yes. Maybe they would play their asses off against the Revolution for a chance to be able to play in MLS. Yeah, why not? It would be an upgrade for them. I think it would be a good idea. But CONCACAF never gave them that opportunity. And I think that's where you have to start looking at first. Don't blame the U.S. government. Don't blame the players. Don't blame the Haitian FA or whoever else was involved. Why wasn't CONCACAF involved in all this? And why was CONCACAF just so, too bad, let's not play, when there was money at stake? Because we know at the end of the day, it's about money. It's about how much they're willing to invest, and more importantly, how much are they going to earn? That's why they're making such a push for this 2026 World Cup. That's why they made such a push for this 2026 World Cup. Because the amount of money that is on the table, they want to be able to make sure that every last penny that is on that table and whatever else might come in ends up in their pockets. But because Haiti is not relevant, because Haiti is this, because Haiti is that, or Haiti is not this and Haiti is not that, or a Haitian team is not this, or a Haitian team is not that, they're not America, they're not Saprissa, they're not any of the MLS teams, they're not any of the Mexican teams, they're not any of the Central American teams. They're a humble, in the eyes of many, a humble team from the Caribbean. We can do without them. That is the impression that they've given with this decision to take Cavaly out of the CONCACAF Champions League. And just, hey, by the way, New England Revolution, you're straight through. And by the way, guess who you might be playing? You might be playing Pumas. You end up playing against the Mexican team. There we go. Now that's where the money begins. Because this is nothing. This is where nothing is earned here. So make sure that you remember this. Keep this in mind, because this is where we're heading, unfortunately, with these types of decisions. I wish I could say something positive about this situation, but there's really nothing positive about it, because everything that they said about the Nations League, everything that they've promised about trying to make it more inclusive, ended up just being blown away by the wind. Every single word they said when they made a decision like this.